here contribute in their own way in their communities. And this panel discussion is really going to highlight, not as just a board member, but also as a community member, how your involvement makes all of the difference. So my name is Natalie McDonald. I am the marketing manager for KED. And we have our owner, Jeremy. He's going to give you a little bit of information as well. So yes.
How's everybody doing? Thank you again for being here. Great event, great people, great associations that we're working with. This really shows what we are as a company and who you are as communities and the growth over the years. It's just been absolutely amazing what can happen with all of you working together with us and all of our vendors and partners for the same goal. And that's what this is really all about. It's what the event's about. Thank you again for being here, and go Tigers.
And go London. Alright, so we're gonna kind of move brunch now. We're gonna move into vendors. Instead of being active on the sides here, we're just gonna have this panel conversation. Once we're finished, we'll go back to the vendors. The bar is open until 1 o'clock when the event is finished. So today's conversation is shared solutions, building a proactive and engaged community. And just like what I had said, your involvement makes all the difference. Same thing as what Jeremy had said. And you're really going above and beyond just by showing up today. Education is a huge thing for us, and each one of us here as panelists really understands that aspect of things. So I want to introduce you to who we have here with us. Some experts in association management. Lee Powers down here at the end is our COO. Any are familiar with that? Renee Newland, she's coming from 20 Chestnut. She's one of our association board members. Thank you so much for being here today. We have Jim Coco from McCower. He's here to give his legal expertise. And a round of applause for Kathleen. Of course, she's one of our community operations managers. She is our community operations manager at KED Management. Well, and if you had any roofing projects done recently, you might have worked with Mike Currents, who's amazing, from Currents Brothers Roofing. And then there's me. All right, so I wanted to start off talking about leadership and engagement. So, Lee, coming from your leadership position, what motivates members in our communities, and it's maybe an example of a project or a situation where somebody, not just a board member, but a community member, stepped up and made a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's crucial for every member and every community to always be engaged, always join in, be part of the community. Not only does everyone live there, but it's each community is like its own little city. So everyone's engagement makes that much more important for the community. One example, I can think of something. I know it's very unusual for you, just you that are board members in the audience. We appreciate you so much. It's so easy to find board members within your community. It's just a chance for the opportunity to be a part. So, the thing that I've seen that has been super beneficial to communities is those type of communities that maybe struggle to find board members. One in particular I can think of, they started to just have food trucks come to their community. It was HOA. They had kind of a large picnic area within the community, and they would coordinate food trucks to come to this community after weekends. So it was something for everyone to kind of get to know your neighbors, chat with other co-workers in the community, but then the board had the ulterior motive over there. Just chatting with them, getting them engaged, getting everyone to know each other in the community. Then it just kind of fosters a relationship, and they start talking about how they can improve the community, plus maybe make some improvements on what needs to change, and then they can be part of that change. So that particular community recruited 4 or 5 board members and some member of the board. It was with 4 or 5 board members just come to a night. And now they've continued to do that just to have that communication with the community, to keep it open, to keep that relationship not only with our neighbors, but our own.
So his answer is food.
Yes. If you ever have issues trying to get people to the neighborhood, bribe them with food. Works.
But that's are really important, and just having little clubs, committees are really amazing for building that sense of being a part of something and giving you your ownership within an association. Renee, so as a board member, working hand in hand with residents in your association, are there things that really stand out for you that are helpful, that actually raise the level of engagement for your residents from the board member's perspective?
I've been enjoying for a year and a half. And what I want to do myself is called, I have a diamond valuable policy in my building. Yes. Who were they? What did they bring to us? What were their occupations where they might be able to help us in a situation where we really don't want to do enough to do too much out on our own? And so I think finding the folks in your building, who are your attorneys, who are your lawyers, who are your mutual advisors, decorators, your employees, the future homes, plant flowers, and that brings all of your community together. That and when you look at what their activity says, they can't wait to share. And so that's what I found is that find out what their interests are, get them involved, and the more involved they are, the better community they have. I haven't done the high rise. We have 10 floors. We don't just drive by and wait for our driveway. We ride with these people on the elevator and we're face to face. So we can really get out there with them and talk up, what we're doing. When we have projects, we have a project that we just completed, which was for recycling. And we have other residents that were really quite interested in that. And so, when you think about recycling, it's like, well, what's the big deal? And the crowd, and there you go. When you live in a community like I do, it's like, well, where do you put these things? Are we going to do talks? Are we going to do, how are we going to engage with this? And so we have a board, a focus group. Put it all together. We gave them the guidelines that we were looking for, and they actually manage it. We have nothing to do with it. They are in full charge, which gives them ownership. And that's so important that people are engaged and feel good about what they do.
I've found that time and time again that is the solution. If, as a board member, residents come to you and say, I really think that this is going great. And you notice that little spark in them to empower them to maybe have a committee or to maybe communicate with other residents, board members in order to make that one thing that they're interested in. And notice I use the positive example first because sometimes, every once in a while, there will be a negative thing said. I do not like this about my community.
Absolutely.
And then you can do the same direction. How about you put together, let's figure out how to get our group together and do something about this. And I think from the board member's perspective, for you to be able to hand that off, the whole recycling project, that's an amazing resource.
Success just doesn't get in.
Yeah, I agree. Kathleen, let's talk about members and their decisions as a whole. When it comes to the management aspect of it and working with our community managers and managing the community as a whole, but also all of the residents, are there some things that you found that really stand out to you that are extra helpful from people that are living in our associations?
Yeah, it's hard to do. I think that it's important for boards to be transparent with the community. I think it's important for boards to be transparent and involve their community members as much as they can. As we know, the boards they're the decision-making body of the association. So sometimes owners feel that their decision-making is, so what I encourage is opening your board meeting to owners to see how decisions are made, how budgets are put together, how projects are put together. Empower your community by having committees started, giving these committees, the task to complete capital improvement projects. They can do community events. There's a lot of different ways you can involve community members that empower them, even though they don't necessarily have the same decision-making power as your board members. Obviously, the biggest decision as a community member you're going to have is electing your board. That's done at the annual meeting, which is the meeting of the co-owners to elect your board. And that is, I think, the most important thing for community members to get involved in is attending that meeting, being part of the decision-making process, because you are empowering those people to run your association.
Gotcha.
Yeah, your matters. It really does. And I know sometimes leadership within an association is a volunteer position. And I think that is something that gets overlooked sometimes. So working together with your board and also the transparency. So it's not just one-sided, it's both coming from both angles. So I like the idea of open meetings and having your voice and making sure that you're encouraging transparency with all of the documents, budgets, everything. So excellent. I really like that, Kathleen.
Everyone has such a huge background with what they can bring to the table. Not everyone that lives in a community is the same. Not everyone that's on a board has the same experience and background. So everyone within that community playing to what their strengths are. Maybe you have a CPA that works there. You have an attorney that lives there. Getting them engaged and getting them as part of the community is crucial.
And I would just add, I think the most important thing from a co-owner perspective is really to stay engaged, and that ultimately is, when KS sends out the notice of your annual meeting, just read the packet, you take a look at the budget and the financials before the annual meeting, and so going through these documents that are sent to you, and then thinking about the members, because ultimately the co-owners, their voice in the decision-making process is by choosing the board at the annual meeting. And what we find is that in a lot of communities, annual meetings are tough for the board because you don't get quorum. There's some co-owner apathy. They don't pay attention. They don't solicit proxies or they don't generate enough interest in the annual meeting. And so a lot of communities have perhaps 35% quorum, and sometimes we're just kind of skating in there, or you made quorum by 1 attendee, or we missed it.
It's bell at work for any time we get quorum. Yeah, the bylaws and all of the legal framework for that, Jim. It's nuanced but it is there, and I really want you to elaborate on that a little bit from the residents' perspective. Legal point. How is that? How can they be the most proactive?
Well, I think it's read your bylaws and then comply with it. And then if you run across a bylaw provision that no longer fits the community, bring that up. We have a lot of associations. They're large. You're represented by 5 board members. Perhaps they all live on one particular street, and you live on a different street. And there's some issue that your board's just not made aware of it because they don't drive down that particular street every day. And of course, our boards are usually pretty active, and they will influence the community, so to speak. But if you see something, say something. And I would encourage the members to reach out to their board throughout the year, as opposed to saving all of the issues for the annual meeting. But sometimes then the annual meeting becomes still overwhelming with just the sheer volume of issues that arise. Most of the community associations have in their documents a provision that empowers the board to create committees I think wanting to be on a committee or suggesting a committee, oftentimes, different couples could come together and say, hey, I think this would be a good idea, and maybe put together a couple of proposals. The board can delegate some decision-making authority to committees if they want to do that. Here's a beautification committee, they're going to take care of the empty spray. You can do that, or perhaps it's more, things that one or two or three different proposals put together by that committee that be voted on by the board. So there's different ways to do it, but I think it's kind of see something, say something, make sure that you read the information that's being sent to you by the association. The financials, if you're just coming to the annual meeting and they send you the financials and then you look at it, it's overwhelming, like during that meeting. And then it's like, we collected $205,000 dues this year, but where did that go? It feels like, well, that's an awful lot of money here. And so you kind of need to look at that stuff beforehand and see, well, we spent, $130,000 on snow removal and landscaping, and that will end up, a small amount for some of these beautification projects. Your board is empowered with their primary responsibilities. Obviously, they manage the day-to-day from the association. They're the ones making those decisions, but their key responsibilities are to repair, maintain, and replace your common elements. So looking at what are those things, and so if you notice something on a particular street or in your building, don't necessarily wait to the end.
Yeah, a lot of times there's this repression of small annoyances, and then it builds, and then it builds, and then it builds, and then it explodes. And if you can take that feedback that you have, and instead of waiting for an annual, or kind of getting to the point where you're angry about something, instead reach out, talk to community members in a positive way, which I think is really important. A lot of the attention goes to our negative feelings, and this is in life and in general. We focus more on the negative than the positive. But if there's a time where we can look at something in our communities, in our associations, and within our boards and our fellow residents that we really appreciate, and I think committees are an excellent way.
I feel like in some communities, and really where you get the leg from here, it's like the beautification. Okay, so I've worked with a lot of associations. They have a beautification committee, and at Halloween, we put out this corn stalks and jack-o'-lanterns. Once Halloween comes, and you got to take the jack-o'-lanterns away, you regular pumpkins and a bill. Now we're into Thanksgiving, and so with these beautification committees, you can really involve different co-owners, people from different buildings. A lot of people like to plant. They have those, that the moms come in.
I love plants.
Exactly. And so a committee like that is something where you're not spending a lot of money here, but you're punching up and you're coming down the street and turning into the community. Boy, that sure looks.
Yeah.
And that also gives sometimes in some of the communities that I work with, then the beautification committee will then pick a member that they're going to give volunteer a year or two, and so we buy a couple of months from Schwartz's. And then it engenders this feeling and Patty and all this work. We're so happy. Here's a small token to her.
So, how many of you, can you raise your hand, have a beautification committee within your association? Nice. Yeah, so I think that's a really great place to start. They love the 20 Chestnut in Wyandotte too, so there's a really beautiful downtown there as well. So it really got that full feel. Right.
Just fabulous.
Well, Renee, it ties to what I was saying earlier, just playing to those strengths in these buildings. You're a designer, needs to live in the building, it needs to be on the floor. But learning your community, knowing what people's strengths are, what they're interested in. If you have Natalie that wants to greenhouse in the lobby because she's for plants, you have people like that within your communities that you can lean on them and let them feel like they're more engaged and more involved with the community, and you're going to get more participation at annual meetings, at events that the community really needs people to show up for.
So that brings me over to Mike. Mike is coming from us from the vendor's perspective, as a roofing expert, and a lot of times, especially in the work that you do, your time there in an association is a big presence. There's a lot there. So has there been some feedback or experiences from the residents that has helped you as a vendor, helped the board members as well, and overall improved a large project for association?
Yeah, absolutely. And first of all, I'd like to say thank you all for coming and spending your Saturday. So it's awesome, and being shared for your commitment and KS's attitude. It's really awesome. So I've never really been to an event like this. I've been doing this 38 years, so it's unique and I think it's pretty exceptional. So congratulations to you guys. That was a paid program, so that will be on to do. So, I think the question was, what has the community, while we were in there, we were doing Big River Project, how are some of the community members helped impact the teams to come to a better result or a better conclusion? And I would say it's how we start that project is really where, right? So you start with a lot of communication and a lot of cooperation. These giant projects take that kind of integration of people and products and services. I mean, we really got to work together to make this the most efficient and the least amount of problems for the community. It's always a disruption. You do a big giant mercury project. Did anybody have a mercury project done this year? Yeah, lots of people, right? And it's very disruptive. The good news, it only happens every 25 or 30 years. That's community. But if you're doing maybe 2 a year for the next 4 or 5 years, we're going to be around. You're going to see us. So it starts with the communication. You look close to the people are close to the boards. They're very transparent with their communications, and then they're transparent with you guys. So we set out notices about that we're coming, and what to do, and it's very reasonable on your house or your yard for what's going to happen, right? So it might be as simple as, bringing your gas grid, bringing your lawn furniture, make sure things that are up on the walls aren't going to shake off during this very disruptive event, right? So that kind of communication leads to really good results. That also, we create an email chain with the board, we're going to use other selected individuals, and that every day we visit their email chain. So we invite communities to get involved in that. You might send that piece of communication to your property manager, something you need to have attended to, something you're concerned about. It allows us to address it right away. So quick, efficient addressing of those problems makes them go away fast, right? And we learn. We say, okay, that's an issue. Let's not repeat that. Let's make sure about the next person to get that resolved. So again, and cooperation, right? So we're asking you to do your part and help us get through this, right? Moving your cars. How do you get to people? Ladies, the other day she goes, do we get to go out during this freaking project? Right? She goes, I got a little dog. It needs to get outside. It's got nothing.
You may not leave your home.
Robert. Make it work, but that kind of communication helps me understand. So we have a formula that got here. It's what has to happen. So again, cooperation, communication, and we ask you guys for a little grace. These are big projects. It takes a lot of work. We're doing something that should never be done in a house of living, right? I mean, this is where chairs come off. There's landscape, there's pictures of cars, people's lives. Everything is happening, and we've got to make this big project happen in a timely, efficient fashion. So anyway, that's my big thing: communication, cooperation, a little grace. We really appreciate it, and we thank you guys so much for your business. Really, thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. So I feel like there's a common theme here, the transparency, education, communication, and really a big part of it, the bottom line is empowering you as residents, empowering you as board members, us at KS empowering our team. And I really over the past 8 years, Lee, in your experience, what is it that really has association members at a higher level of participation in associations for the long term?
Well, it's really, you said 8 years. I had hair 8 years. But it's really about everything that everyone here has said today. It's communication. The good, the bad, or the ugly. Don't hold it all in. Be proactive in that communication. We, as a management company, one of our core principles is being transparent. sharing information, making everything easily accessible to you as board members and to you as community members. Having everything on our portal all the time. If you haven't used it, I encourage you to use it. We have a table back where they can teach you specifically from the questions. But we're huge about just keeping everything there readily available for our country. One of the things that we hear most often come up at annual meetings is owners saying, I think it was Renee, where did my 200,000 go this year that I paid in dues? Well, that shouldn't be a surprise or a question and hence the annual. You're communicating that throughout the year as a board member and us as a management committee. Really just driving those folks to the portal, to the management company, to the board members to ask those questions, have that engagement. Don't hold it all in until the meeting. I know there's some communities that do like special Q&As, meetings outside of their annual. Kathleen mentioned having board meetings open to poll, so at least a portion of them open to pollers, where you can come and ask questions. And then I know, Jim, I'm gonna call on you here for a second, but I've heard a story from you about Jeremy within your own community that you lived previously about having with building champions, and just having like eyes and ears everywhere. Because it's a volunteer for board members are volunteers for the community. But Jim has a great idea of how to get more.
So I've lived in something and goes up, I'm number four, and all of the members, except for me, they were all like in building C. So at least he had all of the lights, of stock, cement thing, or the scrapes that building C, that stuff like that. And I lived in building cheese, it's like on the other side of the community. And so we came up with the idea of building cabinets and working the apartments in context, because we picked one person from each building to make this building cabinet. And it wasn't a big responsibility, is to just tell a one number things parking brick in front of building gets destroyed, because I don't necessarily want to walk the community here, every single week. So building cabinet was a really good idea. And we'll just nominate people from, make sure we had one for every building, and then lights could get fixed, and things like that. And then it did also kind of net result. If someone's just gonna repair the place the porch lights, it's just a lot easier to do that than creating that AS work. So, drive from your office to the location and screw on a light bulb. So in my community where I first moved in, that was because our money saved through the association, and it also had the net effect of just drawing people in, and I think the building captains were more likely to come to the annual meeting and then able to get quorum, and then we could get things passed, numbers against that we moved on.
Exactly, and it's not, it started kind of as an idea for our workforce specifically, but it evolves into then those specific people into the meeting, them talking about what makes sense in the community, what each area of the community maybe is looking for something a little different, but just having that open dialogue. Again, it's going back to our same theme here, our communication, but just having that transparency and that communication within the community, and really listening to everyone within the community and their opinions. You're essentially, as the board, you are running a business. It's an organization that is business, but it's like you're running your own little city. Everyone has their own little city, should contribute to it in some capacity. We had one board president all from one community that his campaign speech that he was running on as board president is he wanted to put the word phone back in code. He wanted everyone to feel that they were a part of that community, they were contributing, and that they made an impact for the community.
The brilliant campaign idea, co-owner, group where it's owner. Communications with the board and the communities, you want, I really want you to do those like to the board directly or through the portal with KS. Not tell that is, in some instances, you'll find it over social media site and then just post a bunch of like untrue statements. And I think just like putting that stuff out there, it's untrue. Your board members, you're not compensated. None of the board members are receiving, they're paying the same assessments that you're paying, they pay the same dues. And so in addition to that, they volunteer their time these once a month at these meetings and work with KS, and there's a lot of responsibility there. And I think as a homeowner, I think you almost all want them respect them and communicate with them directly as opposed to, standing on the sidelines and just lobbing cinder blocks into traffic. Give us a platform where we can actually respond. If you can just, accuse the board of mismanagement or something on a random Facebook post. That's dispiriting to the people who are actually volunteering their time. And no one's getting paid for this. So I would just think, I think as a pro owner, it would be just great to, engage the portal and to just going out there.
I've never have interest in bounce pieces. But it's all about us as a management team. We believe in communication, and boards that we work with also want to communicate. We send out e-blasts routinely, but we're integrated with SAN where you can send out blast text within the community. So you get all of that communication out to the community. Maybe you have firms doing a large roofing project and we shoot out a text to everyone to say, hey, don't park in this area of the property because Kurtz is going to be there and they're going to throw shingles at your car if you don't move. Then having that open communication and just always have that dialogue, always have that engagement. It goes back to what Natalie asked me originally about having that long-term engagement from the community. It all goes back to communication, just having that open dialogue. Don't be afraid of answering those difficult questions. Addressing these things and maybe have them lingering for years. Maybe you're new on the board like Renee and you kind of have a list of things that you want to see happen. And you just want to jump on it and be involved. Don't be afraid to do that. Say, that's the way it's been done, so that's what we're going to continue to do. Be that change, make those improvements to make your community that much better.
I like the be the change. I think that's really important. And I say it a lot, but energy is contagious. So you come at it with one perspective, you can help to shift that. And going back to what each one of you had said, what we found through KS management specifically is your words matter. Your thoughts, your opinions, your feedback matters. And we try to meet that ahead of what we see is going to be happening in the future. So Lily's talking about things like the portal. And Jim's talking about transparency. All of that information is there for you. We found that technology empowers. And we also have resources where you can give us a phone call. We can communicate with you in all different kinds of ways. But all of these different things have come to fruition because of your involvement. So KS management, association management, moving into, we have landscaping services and our maintenance. But then having the phone calls continually from people moving into associations, not understanding what it means to be in an association. So expanding that into a mortgage company as well, where on the lending side, we empower people. So we have all of these different touch points for each of you. And the only way that we get better and that we can actually expand our services and how to meet your needs, like through something like Stan, or the portal, or our website, or events like these. A lot of these ideas came from you, so keep these coming for us, okay? I would say thank you to all our panelists for being here today. It shows that you're involved and that you want to learn more. please come. We have our educational seminar at our headquarters. We have a new expanded office in Farmington Hills. We are growing exponentially because of your raises of us or other board members. So I want to say, to marketing perspective, thank you so much. You look very good. And also to all of our vendors for being here. Thank you so much. Go ahead and visit them. Our giveaway will be getting up at the end of the event. And let me know if you have any questions. We're here for you. Thank you for being here.